Yeah. It is now 6 o'clock. The agenda for the regular meeting of council of the city of Clarksburg will be held today, Thursday, April 20th, 2023, at the Clarksburg Municipal Building, Council Chambers, 222 West Main Street, Clarksburg, West Virginia, at 6 p.m.
Will Hyman.
Here.
Gary Keith.
Here.
Jim Alphajet.
Here.
Jerry Riffle.
Here.
Wayne Work.
Here.
Vice Mayor Duncan.
Here.
Mayor Marino.
Here.
This evening, we have our prayer and our pledge by our Vice Mayor.
If you join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, our power, and glory forever. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This evening, we have a proclamation presentation by Vice Mayor. And is there anybody from Hope here to receive it? If you want to come forward.
So I want to present this proclamation. Whereas Sexual Assault Awareness Month calls attention to the fact that sexual violence is widespread and impacts every person in the community. SAAM aims to raise public awareness about sexual violence and educate communities about how to prevent it. And whereas systems of oppression such as racism, sexism, classism, heterosexism, ageism, ableism, etc., contribute to higher rates of sexual harassment, assault, and abuse. Unfortunately, those same groups are also the most impacted by inequitable systems of oppression in our society, and statistics show more than 1 in 4 non-Hispanic Black women, 29% in the United States, were raped in their lifetime. More than 4 in 5 American, Indian, and Alaska Native women, 84.3%, have experienced violence in their lifetime. 1 in 3 Hispanic women, 34.8%, reported unwanted sexual contact in their lifetime. 32.9% of adults with intellectual disabilities have experienced sexual violence. 47% of all transgender people have been sexually assaulted at some point in their lives. Whereas, as such, we recognize that it will take ending all forms of oppression to end sexual violence worldwide. And whereas the theme of this year's Sexual Assault Awareness Month campaign is drawing connections, prevention demands equity. And whereas Hope Inc. works diligently to draw attention to the prevalence of sexual assault and educate individuals and communities about how to prevent it. Now, therefore, I, James Marino, of the City of Clarksburg, do hereby proclaim April 2023 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month in the city of Clarksburg and encourage all citizens to join Hope Inc. in its endeavors. Thank you for the work you all do.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your support of Hope Incorporated, but more so, thank you for your support of all victims of violence. Thank you very much.
A handful of teal ribbons for anybody who wants one.
And teal is the color for sexual assault awareness.
Thank you.
Mhm.
That's why I wore this today.
There you go.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Do you guys want me to leave them if you up here just in case somebody else wants? I'll just let them read.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Approval of the minutes of the conference work session of March 8th, 2023.
So moved. Second.
Been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it.
Approval of the minutes of the regular session of April 6th, 2023.
So moved. Second.
Been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it.
Petitions, communications, and public hearings. Chris Lane wishes to address council.
Well, I believe we're coming up on a year. Been talking to council about Spring Avenue, about concerns we've had over there, flooding. Had several conversations with the employees, several meetings. Still yet have not heard definitive answer on what's being done. Was here at the last council meeting, asked for an update. Not heard anything from anybody, from any city employees, from council about any updates with it. It's frustrating. You know, I'm a citizen, I'm a homeowner, Clarksburg, the council of Clarksburg. Mr. Marino, you're the mayor of Clarksburg. And last July, you made the statement that if there's something wrong, we'll get to the bottom of it and we'll get it fixed. You made a statement right here at this council meeting. And we've not had any direct determination on what's going to be done, where it's at with it. You know, closing comments about every meeting, we hear Mr. Malfajo say, if you see something, say something. We've seen it, I've been saying it. And I'm wondering why the city of Clarksburg is sitting on their hands with it. Why we cannot get a determination on what's going on with it, when it's going to be addressed, when it's going to be fixed. You know, I've already got confirmation through the meetings, through the discussions I've had with the city engineer, meetings where Thrasher is present, meetings where Mr. Marino is present, that there is an issue out there, that there was work done incorrectly, there was drains installed incorrectly, yet cannot get an answer on when it's going to be fixed. I really sincerely appreciate Mr. Malfajo saying, see something, say something. I feel like it comes from a point of sincerity from him. I also need to come to understanding he's just one individual, amongst 7 on council, and he can't, single-handedly make decisions, make determinations. It takes all of council. I understand, Mr. Marino, you're the mayor, you're the head of council. We've been bringing this issue up several times. Myself, several of my neighbors have made comments, have addressed this issue. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating to hear that, hear or see something, say something, but to be in a position where we're seeing something, where we've been saying something, and feel like it's not being heard and nothing's being done about it. It's disappointing, frustrating. we're living out there every day. We're living with the consequences of the issue every day. You're not. So I can understand that this issue might not have the same weight to council as it does to the individual homeowners out there that's being directly impacted by it. But we get impacted by it every day. Made extensive attempts and have reached out multiple times to multiple people for communication, try to get to resolution, try to work through this issue. And we're coming up on a year and there's been no definitive resolution been presented to the homeowners on that street. Being here, being part of council, representing Clarksburg, I'd like to think that means representing all of Clarksburg, including us, including the issues that we bring to council. I do not feel that this issue has been adequately addressed and has been taken seriously. That's all I have to say about today. I can imagine it's not going to get resolved by the next meeting, so I'm going to keep putting forth the effort, keep trying to get to a resolution. I greatly appreciate it, Mr. Marino, if you'd follow through on what you said last July and see this through, see a resolution through. Thank you.
Reverend Carl Radcliffe, 925 North 14th Street, wishes to address council concerning code 1335.10, parking RVs, campers, trailers on grass and or gravel.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. It's an honor to be here. I've lived in Clarksburg my whole life. I've never had to attend a council meeting. That's a pretty good record. I worked for the city of Philippi for 25 years, so I feel like I'm home here addressing the council. I come tonight simply because an issue had been brought to my attention on April the 10th, on Monday, April 10th. My son was home and received these two violations of a code 1035.10 in regards to campers, RVs, utility trailers, etc., on grass or gravel. 1972, my parents bought their first camper, and it sat there in the yard in 1972, and it's been a camper in that same spot ever since. And so when the code enforcer delivered these, and I talked to her the next day, she was very polite, did her job very well. She tried to explain to me when this was written, like 1968, I think. And I thought, well, it might be a little bit outdated. But I started looking around and thinking, what prompted this violation after being there 51 years? I mean, 51 years I'm an outdoorsman, so I camp, I go hunting, I go boating, and I live on a level lot. I live on the dead-end street, alley in the back. That's where all my stuff's at. And I even paid taxes today, which is kind of grievous. I spent over $1,000 just in property tax for these vehicles and boats and stuff. And that's my choice. When I looked at the ordinance and the violation of a 72-hour to try to get concrete or blacktop paved there, like, how can I do that? It'd be like I'd have to sell everything. There's just no way I could do it unless you give me like a 2-year extension. So I come tonight to the council to say maybe it's time we revisit this ordinance. If it's 1968, I don't know, most of you guys don't remember the blue law, but no businesses were open on Sunday, 1968. And I was a cable guy, and your TV networks went off the air at midnight and came back on at 6 a.m. This ordinance was written way back then. So we know times have changed. And I know that COVID has affected a lot of people, and I do recall trying to find a camper. I've always had campers, but to try to find a camper in 2020 and 2021 was almost impossible. They were sold. Everything sold out. So I'm sure that's going to be an issue. In every city, there's campers probably everywhere in people's yards. So my question would be, could this ordinance be outdated? And if it is outdated, maybe we need to fine tune it. or maybe readjust it or add an amendment to it, to the existing one you have, or even maybe just discontinue it. I don't know if that's a good idea. If not, then question it, could I be grandfathered in? My property is, like I say, it's all level lot where I have these things in it, and I've always taken care of most of it's on gravel. I was going to bring a picture of it tonight. I didn't have time because I've been in Indianapolis for the last 3 days, Pittsburgh 3 days last week. I travel a lot. I'm a pastor and superintendent, so I'm never home. So I come here tonight just to say I want to try to find a solution, because it doesn't just affect me. If this ordinance is really enforced, it's going to affect every resident in the city of Clarksburg. Because you could drive anywhere in the city limits of Clarksburg, and somebody's got a utility trailer or a boat or something in their grass, yard, gravel, somewhere. So I just come tonight just to bring awareness. And again, I talked to Kathy, and she was very nice. And she said just because I sent her an email, I have more than 72 hours. So hopefully we'll have some feedback. You got my contact information to let me know what I need to do next. If I need to go get a loan or a contractor and tear all my good grass out to put a concrete pad in, put a boat, that's of course I think. But the other question I have, I got 53 seconds. My camper is only there 6 months out of the year. I normally take it down to Sutton Lake around middle of April, and I go get it in November and bring it. And I store it in my yard in the wintertime. Of course, the boat's there all year, but just kind of FYI stuff. And again, I'm not here to complain. I just want to bring awareness. I want to find a solution to resolve this issue. If I need to, maybe just put gravel, good gravel. I don't know. Thank you, Council. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
City managers report and update.
From economic development, there is an upcoming ribbon cutting at Elwood's Pizzeria in Glen Elk scheduled for April 24th at 11 a.m. This week's staff has been updating URA property sales methods to establish best sales prices for city-owned parcels, drafting zoning language related to micro distillery and microbrewing land uses, and we'll be touring Agama class facilities on Wednesday, April 19th. From the police department will again be assisting the DEA National Drug Take Back program on Saturday, April 22nd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the rear parking lot of City Hall. There will be also officers at Walgreens at Rosebud Plaza and at Walmart on Emily Drive. Citizens can dispose of unwanted prescription medications at those locations. 4 new officers will graduate on May 12th from the West Virginia State Police Academy. The department is in the final stages of completing a civil service hiring list for police officers. Future testing dates will be forthcoming to compile a new hiring list. From city parks, the park board is awaiting official notification of the pickleball court grant, and once that is received, a meeting with Thrasher's Group will be held to develop bid packages and proceed with the project. The recreation coordinator has been certified to instruct lifeguards, and 5 staff members have been registered for the certified pool operations class in April. 38 Special will be the first show of the year at the AMP on June 9th. Tickets went on sale last week with 1,143 tickets sold to date. Wastewater treatment plant, number 1 main raw pump update, waiting on additional parts needed for repair of pump. The expected ship date for those parts is in July 2023. They have set up with PACE analytical testing for PFAS, PFOS. Once we start to receive results, we'll be able to plan on how to treat the PFAS, PFOS in our system. The sanitary board has posted an RFP looking for a law firm to provide services to the sanitary board. The RFP will run in the Clarksburg Exponent, Dominion Post, Wheeling Intelligencer, and Charleston Gazette Sunday papers. The last day for submission is April 27th. Also on April 26th of 2023, will be the West Fork signing with for the sanitary sewer project with Army Corps of Engineers will be held here at City Hall. Representatives from Senator Manchin and Capito's office will be present. For the fire department, the month of April is spring cleanup for all stations and apparatus. 2 new firefighters have started in the month of April. Please welcome Arden Fox and Scott Bexfield. The Fire department assisted with 2 Narcan distributions in April. From the Robinson Grand, several ticketed events remain for April and 1 theater rental, as well as Pierpont Health Science pending ceremony and Salem University graduation. Code enforcement has issued 37 building permits for a total job cost of $528,350, 31 notice of violations, 5 citations, 7 reboards, 26 inspections, 65 animal control complaints, 37 C-Click fix inspections, 22 campers tagged, 15 boats tagged, 14 vehicles tagged. All vacant and condemned properties are now being inspected at least once a week to ensure they are secure by code officials, and routine follow-up checks are conducted by police department late at night as well. Public Works Department demo properties at 401 East Pike and 356 South 22nd Street. Compost has received 29,860 pounds of debris and has sold 113,650 pounds of compost. Started painting streetlight poles around town, renewed yellow, and I believe it
Yeah.
up around the WI area, Northview, and Heartland areas. Finance Department, the 2023 quarter sales and use tax collection is $1,272,249.39. This is an increase of nearly 7.7% from last year's first quarter. Completed the closeout process for small venue operators grant received by RGPAC in the amount of $709,685.96 for the time period March 20th through June 22nd. From the city clerk's office, want to put a reminder out as the campaign signs are beginning to go up in the city's June 6th election. The city clerk wants to remind all candidates that under West Virginia code, it requires a disclaimer paid for by on the campaign advertising printed signs on any publication. That's the end of my report.
Unfinished business. Consideration of second and final reading and public hearing of an ordinance to approve current replacement pages to the codified ordinances.
I will open public hearing. Anyone wanting to speak for or against this may do so at this time. I will close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Aye.
Consideration of second and final reading and public hearing of an ordinance of the city of Clarksburg to amend section 745 to add a tax credit for certain new retail business location within the central business district.
I will open the public hearing. Anyone wanting to speak for or against this ordinance at this may do so at this time.
My understanding, this is the ordinance changing the B&O rate. Is that correct? I believe as part of the group there presented the request there for a change to this. We asked for a 10-year break. My understanding, today's conclusion of a 5-year break, 100, 150, 50 over these 5 years. Carmenese wasn't able to be here this evening. They gave me an email to share with council. And I didn't fully brush up on my history, but anybody here know when Meadowbrook Mall was originally put in? 70s, 80s?
Late 70s, yeah.
Late 70s, 80s, somewhere around there. I think a New Point was put in somewhere after Meadowbrook. More recently, at White Oaks, Charles Point. So not saying this is something that current council has created a problem of, but seems like for many, many decades now, starting with Meadowbrook, businesses are leaving Clarksburg, have been leaving Clarksburg. Meadowbrook put in, and Penny's and a lot of retail left Clarksburg and went to Meadowbrook. New Point was put in, and that's still in Clarksburg city limits, but businesses left downtown and went to New Point. Jerry Dove was put in, and I think the city's seen a mass exodus real quick once Jerry Dove was put in of businesses and professionals leaving downtown and going up to Jerry Dove. At some point, is the city going to come to understanding that there's growth in Harrison County? There is growth in this area, but there is no substantial growth in downtown Clarksburg. At some point, if the city's not going to invest into incentivizing new business, it's not going to help improve the downtown environment, it's not going to directly work with all business owners, not just one, all business owners, ones that decided to stay, ones that are deciding to take a chance on Clarksburg, or ones that will consider Clarksburg. The amount of building and property vacancy in the downtown area compared to any other area in a 20-minute radius is staggering. And unfortunately, as you can see in the email right here, whenever asked for the 10-year break, there was some thought put into it. We shared performance with council, seeing the numbers. Unfortunately, with the 5-year break, it doesn't tip the scales enough to not consider and not look at other areas, other buildings, and other options. That makes just as much better financial sense. I know a few of you on council are business owners yourselves. If you had the option for no overall, everything all included, rent rate, tax rate, everything, to have your business located in downtown Clarksburg, or to have your business located near 79 with visibility of 79 and be in or close to Bridgeport, what would you choose? Would you choose downtown Clarksburg over 79 visibility, over Bridgeport? If the city's not going to work with the business owners to incentivize and make it worth their while, when's this going to change? Apologize for my mellow tone tonight. It's a disappointing evening.
Thank you, Chris. Entertain a motion.
Close the hearing.
I'll close the public hearing. Entertain a motion.
Discussion.
Discussion.
We have a first and second.
One first and second first.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and second. Discussion.
Discussion.
Jimmy?
I think maybe we should consider 10-year. I'd hate to see this business not come into Clarksburg, especially for Will's sake.
Oh, boy.
I'm just going to be honest. I've heard rumors that they're looking in Bridgeport too. So, if we're going to let this go by, it'll be a big mistake on our part.
Any further discussion?
I agree with Mr. Malfajo. My comments when we first started this, I was fine with it. When you compare the B&O to the 1%, we're still coming out ahead. Like I had said when we discussed it before, I would like there to be something in it that if the 1% ever ended, we'd have to renegotiate, but it really doesn't make any sense to me not to do it, not only for this business, but for the other opportunities that we have downtown.
I was going to add, in my council comments at the last meeting, I erroneously spoke and said that we were not making very much in the B&O sales tax downtown. I kind of underestimated that by several $100,000. And, I read the paperwork that Kim had sent me a little too quick and on the fly. I was reading it from my phone, but I still leave this out here. And, I think we do need to go further, at least perhaps with this 10 years or maybe even more. I'd like to challenge this council to possibly even look even further. But obviously that's not part of this vote tonight. So I did want to correct myself from what I spoke at the last meeting. And hopefully we can come to a better conclusion here. Thanks.
Yeah, I like to talk a little bit about it too. We have to do something, I think, that will tip the scales for the downtown. And I guess when you look at how much revenue we make on B&O sales downtown, what was it, Will, about 700,000?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
A year. That is pretty significant in a budget like ours, but I think too, the more we attract businesses downtown through this incentive, the more we're going to get back on the back end with the 1%. Now, does that mean 10 years? I don't know, but I would definitely like for us to visit that. I'll support this tonight because it's better than nothing. But I would imagine, hopefully, we could, maybe have a work session in the future that we could explore, expanding this more. Because we don't really have a lot of any good accessibility when it comes to Interstate 79, other than 50. And apparently, one of our exits are shut down right now. One of our bridges is closed. So I think at this point, we really need to do what we can to sort of tip the scale to stimulate, substantial growth, in the downtown. And if by chance we do that and we don't really see any investment here, then I think we could probably go back and look at revising it again. But I don't know. I don't really think it's a whole lot, to ask just for this for downtown to stimulate growth. So I definitely think we should look at it and see how that's going to affect the budget overall next year and in future years. So I'll vote for this tonight, but I would like for a work session to take place, fairly soon to hash that out. So.
Thank you, Wayne.
Yeah, but I don't think we have the convenience of waiting. I think these people.
Can we make a motion to amend this? Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to amend this to 100% for 10 years.
Wow. Discussion on that. I would like to rely on our finance director. I think she's the one who looked at this and did extensive studies throughout the state. Our finance is going to be the one to have to live whatever decision we make. But I would definitely vote for this and then have an immediate, as soon as we can, have a work session and let her look at that and see how that will impact our coffers and go from there. I'd hate to just make this motion without having input from the finance department on this, how that could affect our budget.
I agree with you, Mr. Mayor. I think that's probably the right thing to do.
Did I not have a second?
What is, we already made a motion. Either go second, then discussion after that. We can't keep talking about it after motion's been made.
Gary made the motion to amend.
And we got a second on it?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
No.
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 Will Hyman?
No.
Gary Keith,
Yes.
Jim Malkovich.
Yes.
Jerry Riffle,
No.
Wayne Worth,
No.
Vice Mayor Jenkins,
No.
Mayor Moreno.
No.
Go back to the original item on the table here.
Motion.
So there's still discussion open for that then? Or
I'm
with
not
the-
quite sure. I have the question for that.
Can we have discussion on the first motion?
You can go back.
Okay, discussion on the first motion.
So something, maybe we should table this? I mean, putting this down or up right now, if we're considering making more, doesn't really make sense. I think we should make a motion to table it, and, because if we vote for it now, we're gonna push it down the road. If we motion to table it, we can put it right up for discussion quickly and be right back on the table.
Can we table it at this time?
You could table it, but then you're gonna have to start off with a new ordinance, I believe, and do your 2 readings again. So there's nothing to stop you from amending this again in a month, if that's what you want to do. You can pass it tonight and amend it again here, second meeting in May, if that's what you want to do.
Well, I just think that if we keep we keep pushing this down the road, we're gonna lose them. So, vote the way you want to vote, but
Well, it's going to be the same time frame anyway. I mean, if we amend it, we'll just have to, we'll pass it tonight, amend it later. That would have to take 2 readings, right, Richard?
Yes.
Yeah, and then, but if we just table it, we're gonna have to go back with a new ordinance.
Or you could take it up to the next meeting with your motion to amend.
Okay.
If it's table or
Or if it's passed.
if we pass it, we could bring it up the next meeting?
You'd be amended, so you'd be definitely 2 readings in the next meeting. Because you'd be doing a new ordinance.
But if we tabled it, we would have to make a new ordinance, right? Or
No, if you take, I think if we table it today, you could bring it up in May. I don't think you could bring up Councilman Keith's exact motion to amend. He wanted to amend to give 100% for 10 years. I think you've already struck that down. He doesn't go back and do it, but you could do a motion to amend, which is beyond what was originally requested or what was originally planned. The original plan was 100% for 5 years, 50% for 5, something like that. You could just modify it slightly from what Councilman Keith did. You can even do 90% the last year, it'd be fine procedurally. So you could table it today and bring up to the next council meeting, move to amend it however you want, except identical to how Councilman Keith suggested. And again, you could do a very minor difference to make that change.
did everybody vote against it because it was 100%? Why don't we go 100% for 3 years, 75% for another 3 years, and then 50% the last 4 years? Why did everybody vote against the 100%? If that's your reason, then let's break it down to.
Well,
And I really feel like people aren't looking at the big picture of this. It's not just this business. It's, storefronts in the Gore. It's across the street in the Chase building. It's the Empire building. It's all these big buildings. It's not, yes, they brought us the idea, but the huge effect this could have on the 1%. If you pass it and nobody takes the deal, then you didn't lose or gain anything.
I'm in favor of going all out. I just have to see the numbers. I can't make it. I'd be strongly in favor of probably voting for that when we move forward, but I have to see it. I can't just do it without seeing numbers in front of me.
and that's all I would say is let's have our finance director present this to us at a work session next week. It would be the wisest thing for this council to do is see the number, let our finance people decide or show us that.
I would support that because I would like to see how we're going to make up that $700,000 in the budget.
Exactly.
I don't know how that, Wayne Worth tonight, I don't know how that would happen. But I know the finance department will figure out how that would happen. So.
Yeah, this was just new businesses. You're not taking away the 700,000.
Okay, so this is just new businesses
All the
then.
businesses don't bring in 81% now.
That changes things then.
And this was only, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I got confused here. This was only affecting changing office to retail too, right?
Yes.
So this has to be something that was previously office space,
Office or vacant.
professional.
Yeah, professional or vacant, we probably need to clean up the definition of vacant, but we can do that at the next meeting.
Vacant for a certain amount of time or something.
Right, because I thought originally we looked at the
Yeah.
vacancy for the vacant building, that's a whole different thing, we want to.
So you're not killing 700,000.
No,
Okay, well,
Okay.
that's good to know.
Interim city manager.
Where we found out Bridgeport offers a 10-year, 100%.
I don't have that with me. I don't.
Well, I just looked it up, that's not what it says.
they don't.
They don't.
Well, I thought Mr. Lane said it, they did.
They don't need to.
I never said that. I said businesses obviously choose to be in Bridgeport.
I just- I didn't know if I didn't see it anywhere.
No, there's no indication of that. The current offer on the current ordinance would be the most or one of the most favorable in the state.
In the state.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that's what it was, the most lucrative.
Which we could advertise.
It is.
So where you guys want to go from here? Richard, on this?
You could do a motion to amend, you could do a motion to lay on the table.
We did a motion to lay it on the table, then we could bring it back
You would bring it back to
the next meeting with
You could do a-
any amendments we want to put in it.
Correct.
And it
Right
would
now-
still be under second reading.
And you would not be second.
Or table.
Could we even bring it up on a special meeting? If we were doing a special meeting to revisit this even sooner?
There's other options you can do at a special meeting.
I'm sorry to intervene. Wasn't the idea to pass it in its current form now and amend it at the second reading? Wasn't that the option?
You can't amend it unless.
I understand. Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Well, then I'd make a motion to table it.
Second.
Been moved and second. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Stay.
Consideration of second and final reading and public hearing of an ordinance of the city of Clarksburg to create section 115.16 rules of attendance for council members.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
No.
No.
Will Hyman,
Aye.
Gary Keith,
Yes.
Jim Malpajo,
Yes.
Gary Riffle,
Yes.
Wayne Worth,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Junkins,
No.
Mayor Marino.
No. It's been passed.
Consideration to award bid to Ohio West Virginia Excavating Company for the low bid of $293,545.75 for both of the additive alternative bids of $219,665.25 and $220,175 for a total of $733,386 with a 10% contingency for the Liberty Avenue winding way slip.
Mr. Mayor, I move we award the bid to Ohio West Virginia Excavating Company for the low bid of $545.75, and for both of the additive alternative bids of $219,665.25, and for $220,000, all these numbers, $175 for a total of $733,386 with a 10% contingency for the Liberty Avenue winding way slip.
Second.
Been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it.
It got out there finally. There we go.
Deviating from the agenda, item C, consideration of approval of the annual reports for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2022 for the policemen's and firemen's pension.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Consideration of appointments to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Mr. Mayor, I move we appoint Mr. David McMahon and Mr. Chris Lane to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Second.
Been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Item B, consideration of a resolution to extend an offer of employment for the position of city manager.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and second. Discussion? I'd like to talk about this because this has been a huge issue for the city of Clarksburg for quite some time. And the citizens really don't know how that process works. And I just like to go over a little bit of where we were at and where we're at now. I'd like to start off with the city manager, Falk, resigned on April 22nd, 2022, to take a job closer where he was from. At that time, we appointed Chief Kitty as the interim city manager, who did an excellent job. And when Chief Kitty decided he was ready to step down, Chief Police stepped up and also has done an amazing job. So we can't thank these two enough for stepping up and doing the job that they have done. After Manager Falk resigned, we started our search for a new city manager. That was done in two primary ways. First, we ran an advertisement for the position. That advertisement was listed in multiple media outlets in the state and with more national organizations such as International City Managers Association and Indeed.com. Second, council members reached out to individuals who thought they may have an interest in the position or they thought would be a good fit and encouraged them to apply. We talked to the folks at the Municipal League and let them know about our opening. I have to thank my fellow council members because I know they all worked hard to get the qualified applications in. We stopped accepting applications at the end of September 2022. We had received 32 applications at that time. These came from all over the country. Some were very strong and some simply were not qualified. We ended up doing 11 interviews in June and October of potential candidates. There were two candidates from that group that were really liked, but we informally talked to one. He had accepted another job, and that did not require him to move as far away. And other, quite frankly, was out of our price range when we discussed potential salaries with him. So we ended up running our advertisement a second time and receiving 34 applications. I think there was some frustration amongst council members, including myself, to have to go through the process again, and that frustration unfortunately came out during council meetings. But we ended up rolling up our sleeves and digging through the resumes and again found a number that we wanted to talk to. We ended up doing another 11 interviews in January and February. We had a few really strong candidates that we were all impressed by. At the end of the day, we wanted what was best, not only for City Hall, it was for the citizens of Clarksburg. So this process was trying to find the best fit for the city. We were looking for the most qualified candidates to fill this position. It was a very long and hard process, but I felt our citizens deserved nothing less than to get the very best. And at this time, I think we have found that, and hopefully we all come to the same conclusion to extend an offer, and that's what this resolution will be about. Anybody else wish to speak on this matter? Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved. Did you read the resolution?
Yeah, it was already moved in second.
Okay, moved in second.
Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it.
Council comments?
Start down on Jimmy. We'll go with you to be the first.
Oh, thank you. I just want to reiterate, see something, say something, pick up the phone, dial 911 and call the police department. Don't get involved, just if you don't call them immediately, there's nothing we can do after the fact. And also I'd like to reiterate what the acting city manager said, that the candidates must put on their signs paid for by the candidate. There has to be a disclaimer on there. First Friday's coming up May 5th, and the agenda is full, and it looks like it's going to be a good First Friday, and hopefully the weather will cooperate, and everybody have a nice weekend.
Okay, thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to reconsider the resolution for extending the position to the city manager. We didn't name the candidate.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So, at that,
I'd like to make a motion to reconsider that resolution.
okay. It's been moved and second, all in favor to,
What-
we got a
what's the name
name,
of this
right?
guy?
The candidate is Tiffany Fell.
Do your motion of reconsideration.
Yeah, I could do it.
Motion to reconsider of Tiffany Fell
No, to motion reconsider your resolution. Past that.
to reconsider the resolution.
Yes, past that, and then someone move to, do a
Second.
resolution to extend offer of employment to this fellow.
Okay, it's been moved and second, the first motion. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Now, the second one is to extend the offer to Tiffany Fell.
Yes.
So we need to amend the resolution.
No, I think we just need to do.
Let's make a motion to extend an offer to Tiffany Fell.
That's all I need to do.
So moved.
Been moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes, those opposed? No, ayes have it. Okay, I'm sorry, we'll continue on with, Councilman Riffle.
Did you get nervous when I was making that reconsideration?
Yeah. What you got?
Nothing would surprise me.
Is it my council comment or somebody else's?
No, that's you. Go
All right.
ahead.
I'd like to welcome the two new firefighters. Sorry, I missed what were their names at? Sorry. Arden Fox and Scott Brexfield. Welcome them to the team. I'm excited to find out that we have 4 officers also coming to the police department. Looking forward to adding them to the department. I want to thank Mr. Ratliff for coming and speaking. We have a lot of ordinances that are outdated for sure. I can see that issue both ways. I worry about campers and RVs parking in front yards, and that'll look bad. People living in them. We probably need to fix it. How we fix it, that's something our code enforcement office definitely needs to look into. You've been doing this since 1972. Maybe we just missed it. I don't know. That's kind of tough to miss for that long, longer than I've been alive. So yeah, we need to either change or enforce it across the board everywhere. We hear it so many times that something's enforced on this street, not enforced on this street. We got to fix the ordinances but then go all out. All over across the board. I'm glad that got done with the city manager's search. That was it took way too long to get done. It was very frustrating. I look forward to getting back to working. The interim city managers, they've done great. So great that Mark came back. So he's back. That's how great that is. It's tough to really look forward to the future. With interim city managers, they just want to keep the boat afloat and they don't want to make too many big waves. But I think once we get a full-time city manager, we can go back to bigger ideas and really get back to working on things that we've been kind of holding back on. Really, that's all I got. So.
Thank you, Councilman Riffle. Councilman Ward?
Yeah, I wanted to really just thank the 3 candidates that showed up today. So if you guys get elected, then you'll see how frustrating this is. But it's rewarding too. So, anyhow, I wanted to just kind of also want to appreciate Mr. Ratliff for coming and speaking. I think a lot of times, I think as councilmen, we just don't read every ordinance that's under the sun. And that's why I think, having petitions and people come up here and educate us on some of those ordinances and how they affect them, kind of triggers us to look into those a little bit deeper. And I really would like to look into that, maybe possibly at a work session, in the near future. Now we may not come to a resolution on that, but at least we'll, have our staff look at it and educate us on it and why we have those ordinances or whether or not we need to tweak it or change it. So that's the beauty of, of representative democracy, is that, folks do get to come up here and, speak on that, and we become educated. To the Spring Avenue situation, I would love to figure out a resolution on that too, whether or not it's going to be fixed or not. I mean, I think you guys at least deserve that, to know that. So maybe that could be another work session. So figure that out. As for the tax incentive ordinance, I think I would have supported the 10% all the way, for not 10%, I'm sorry, 10 years of free B&O tax on retail. But I was under the impression, and maybe it's just due to the fact that I just didn't read it in its entirety, which I probably should have, that it wasn't extended to also current businesses. So if it's new, then I don't think the $700,000 or however much would be in the budget we would have to make up would be a moot point. Hopefully, since we not amended it, but we tabled it, we could have a work session fairly expeditiously, to look at that and bring something back that could potentially be quite robust. So other than that, I mean, I'm glad we're going to get a new city manager in here. This is the first time I ever voted to appoint a city manager. And so I'm a little bit nervous. Hope she does a good job. And if she doesn't, then I'm sure you guys will let me know. So other than that, have a good weekend, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Keith?
Chris Lane, sir, I'm sorry you have to come up here and speak every week about the same thing. I've pretty much supported you from the beginning on this. Something that looks so dumb and wrong. I can't even believe that we don't have someone we can go back on, like a contractor. I feel like we should be able to sue them to go do it right, since they did it wrong the first time. So I'm pretty frustrated from this end too, on your behalf. I don't know if that makes you feel any better, but I feel like from this end, we just keep on waiting for something to happen. And I don't know, we just keep going down the road here. Mr. Ratliff, boy, I'm breaking that law all the time too. Especially the gravel. You said, not to question you more, but you said you have an alley too? You're coming off an alleyway?
Yeah, I'm on James, in front of my house is on 14th Street, and the alley is James Avenue.
Is it gravel?
It's paved. You all paved it a couple of years ago. Thank
It's
you very
paved.
much.
I was going to say, because it's totally illegal to bring a gravel driveway off a gravel alley.
It's all blacktop now, but it wasn't 2 years ago.
Interesting. Well, this is definitely something we need to look at. I'm not really for, no offense, but I'm not really for anything on the grass, because that can become a big problem quickly. But if it's an acceptable place where you can put a driveway, gravel's completely acceptable to me. I mean, it gets a little bit questionable if it's going out onto a main road and you got to worry about gravel getting onto the road. But a second or third road like you're talking about there, dead end, you should definitely be able to put a driveway gravel off of that, in my opinion. So we'll definitely talk about that and see if we can correct that. Congratulations to our 4 new officers and 2 new firefighters. That's spectacular. I think Chief Kitty has us on the road to being fully staffed, which I don't know if we've ever been in about 10,000 years. I don't know. I think we got 4 more lined up right before then, and 2 we can put on with a grant. So I see really, really good things ahead for the police department. Thank you for that, Chief Kitty. And I also, like Wayne said, wanted to recognize Hattie Wright and Mark Jackson and Martin Howell, who all came to the meeting. I think that's kind of important. I always like to show up at the meetings when I'm running, so I kind of maybe if I win, know what's going on. So thanks for showing up and seeing what we're up to up here.
And you got to show up once you get
elected. Yeah. So this is my comments or yours?
Sorry.
So the B&O tax incentive, I feel like we've been beating our heads against the wall at least the 4 years since we've been elected here, that we just can't seem to get any great incentive to bring people downtown. And to say retail my gosh, man, we have like no retail downtown. Like we're talking about all these things that would affect. I can't name 5 things that are retail downtown. So I mean, this is all positive. It's not. I feel like it's like people who are getting divorced who are in debt fighting over who's getting the money. You know, we don't have anything. We have no retail. So if we can create retail, we will make money off the 1%. This, B&O tax is imaginary because we're not making it off any retail. So we're not getting rid of any B&O because we don't have any retail. So I would even be for extending it to retail that's already existing downtown because there's so little, it would be a very small effect. I mean, that's just how I feel about it, but I think we're looking at it the wrong way. Would it be one of the biggest incentives in the state? Yes, that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. Would we be doing something that no other city is doing? Yeah, I think that's probably what we should be advertising. Bringing retail downtown is what we should be doing. And last thing, just want to welcome, we said her name so I can say it now, Tiffany Fell. I know the public doesn't know anything about her yet, but she's spectacular. I was a little worried because she's from Canada, but she's very conservative. So I loved her from the moment she started answering questions. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Hine?
First, Chris, I'll be honest with you, the last time I heard anything was that meeting that you and I did in the mayor attended. That's the last time I've heard it. I know.
That's all anybody's heard.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate it, Mark. I know I went out there, what was it, the next day after that meeting? We had, Mark saw me out there. I went out, I took a look. It was pouring the rain down. I mean, it was a gully washer. I mean, it was probably one of the biggest rains of the year that we'd had so far. I saw the rain going where it was supposed to go. Then again, I'm not an engineer, and I can't see into your backyard. I know your fence back there, so I can't tell you what it's doing back there without the pictures that you've shown us. So, I don't know if it was doing it that day. And I gotta say, I'm not an engineer. I don't know what the story is, but that's the last I've heard. So that's my update for that. I wish I had more information for you, and I'm sure there will be more. Whenever it happens, I'm sure you'll be the first to know. Mr. Radcliffe, we spoke last night about the issue, and I'm concerned. I believe code enforcement does a good job, and I believe there's issues all around our city. It's kind of unfortunate that, we're going after issues like this when we have major issues with slum and blight all across the city. But unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, that's what the code says, and that's what was enforced. I don't like it. Personally, I don't. I believe there should be some type of regulation. This is probably coming from the most libertarian person up here. So, obviously, I believe in the city there should be some kind of limitations on where you can park a camper. Obviously, we don't want it in people's front yards. We don't want it in between houses or, next to a neighbor. We don't want them occupied by vagrants. Obviously, we have an issue with that. So I'm hoping that this council can come together and figure out a solution that maybe we can reach a compromise where maybe we can amend that ordinance and make it a little bit easier for people like you. And I mean, how many other people have campers? A dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen? I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. Well, apparently, I don't know. It seems from the violations that were listed here, maybe it's true. I don't know, but it's unfortunate because that's your property, and you're not hurting anybody with it. At the end of the day, I don't have a problem with it. So maybe we can revisit it. Maybe we can come to a compromise and make sure that you're not burdened by the cost of putting in a concrete pad or an asphalt pad that, at this point in time probably costs thousands of dollars. I can't imagine it costs less than $5,000 or $6,000 to put a concrete pad in. And that's, for somebody who's had a camper there in the last 50 years, roughly, I don't know. I mean, again, I think there's bigger fish to fry here in Clarksburg and chasing around campers and to a certain extent, vehicles and boats. I mean, yeah, I get it. But, we don't have a homeowner association here in Clarksburg. There's reasons why HOAs exist. The problem is when you have issues like this in the city, they're enforced by laws, and ultimately they're enforced by the police and the courts. And, that's not where I want to see people go with campers. that's again, we've got bigger issues that we need to focus on. Regarding the tax incentive, I like I said, I challenge this council. I wish we could find a better solution. It does concern me that there's an email that says, they can go anywhere they want. It feels like we're back to this negotiating about, we're going to give a company a tax break. I believe there was concerns with the attorney brought up one of the last meetings that, giving this tax incentive for B&Os or what would happen, Chris? You don't need to answer it. Maybe we can talk after this. But what happens if your pub decides they don't want to serve food and drinks anymore and they just want to brew beer? I mean, that's going to, from what I understand, that was an issue that was brought up, and then we get no money ultimately.
With an out liquor license, they have to serve food. They have to. That's
Well, if only if they're selling the liquor.
I thought this only affected the retail part, but they were still going to pay B&O on the manufacturing.
I guess it's been lost in all the discussion we've had. I'm sorry, but
that's the way I understood it.
And then you may be right, Gary. I don't know, but it seems like we're back to this negotiation. Like I said, I'd like to see it go even further. Yeah, doing it for one company, it's kind of, I don't know. That's not what I'm about. I'm hoping we can reach a solution. Talk about it at the next meeting or at a work session and see what can be done. Because I read this email, it sounds like they don't want to do it at all. I mean, that's how I read it. If they want to go somewhere else in the county, then let's stop the discussion now and move on. We're in a unique situation, and we've been affected since they decided to put the interstate on that side of Clarksburg and not on this side of Clarksburg. And we've been affected since the Meadowbrook Mall got built. We've been affected since the FBI got built, and East Point, New Point. And, thankfully we have that tax base over at East Point and New Point, and we can actually make up for that lost revenue that we've suffered for over the years. But until we get creative, it's going to be difficult to attract any businesses over here. I just that's how I look at it. Hopefully we can come up with a compromise, and if not, if they want to walk from the negotiation, then that's what will happen. I just it's an unfortunate situation for the city of Clarksburg and the people who continue to pay those taxes right now. So that being said, we'll see you on Cinco de Mayo for First Friday. I'm looking forward to that. Should be a good night. Got bike night over at Mr. Taco that night too. Should be pretty happening scene here in the city. So look forward to seeing everybody out there, and you guys have a great weekend. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman. Vice Mayor.
Hit that go.
He has to. I pretty much agree with mostly everything that Will says. The situation with code enforcement it's extremely difficult to navigate. And I know that when, coming into this position on council, we really wanted to see things cleaned up and the city to progress with getting rid of, blight. And it's kind of, it gets very hard to navigate because when they start to enforce certain things that are on the books that they haven't for several years, decades, it upsets people. And I understand that. I mean, I'm a homeowner in this city also, and I'm sure that there's probably codes that I violate that I'm not even aware that I'm violating because it hasn't been enforced for so long. So when you start to tighten up in those areas, it's hard. And I agree with Will that it's not something that, I don't want to see campers in front yards and parked in grass. But you've been doing this for years. How do we fix that? And I appreciate the way you approach council with, wanting to find a solution and how can we work together with that? And I think that we can solve those types of issues. But I do think that we have way bigger problems and that I would like to see us there be a tiered level with code enforcement of what they really go after first. So it's unfortunate you kind of got caught up in the dragnet. So, but we will try to work with that. Absolutely. One other thing I don't agree with is that Chris, I do live in your neighborhood. I live right in that direct area on your street, actually. And I believe and feel that the city has been extremely responsive in this situation. And a lot of my neighbors feel that way also. That anytime that there's been an issue that you've brought to council, and especially when Chief Kitty was the interim manager, we were responsive to that. He was responsive to you. There were several meetings. A lot of the employees in the city went out and looked at the problems. They had several meetings to address that. And I'm not quite sure what the goal is in addressing council repeatedly on that when we don't have an answer, because they have not responded to us. And I think that you're aware of that.
Nobody's made me aware of that.
I mean, I can clear this up.
There's even an intent to reach out to the contractor.
I can clear this up real quick if we can move on. The city has not received anything back from the last walkthrough thing they did, no reports to report to anybody. Once they get that, they will report that, but we don't have anything. That's why we haven't given anything.
Based on 2 meetings of reviewing the plans show that one thing is to be built and what was physically
Again, I
built is
will
something
repeat,
different.
we have not received a report from those people, an official report stating this is what's wrong, this is what needs fixed, or whatever. So,
Especially talk to the city engineer.
And like Will, I've driven through that area. I drive through there every
I've
single
talked to
day.
the city engineer. He has not gotten that report.
I have not seen there to be a massive problem. There's not a problem from my perspective, and I'm also not an engineer. But if I know and I am aware from living in the neighborhood for years before you came, there were water issues in your area, in your yard, due to the pool that was put in your backyard. And it occurred in the neighbor's house across from you. There have been water issues for years there.
About Robin Ritter's house at the top of the spring.
Who?
Robin Ritter.
All I can say is what I observed from living in the neighborhood and speaking to a majority of the neighbors. It is not the problem that you're reporting. What they're seeing, the officials here at the city allow us time to get a report back to you. Coming and expressing, sure. I mean, that's your right. I don't understand the motive. So, it is what it is. But
It's been acknowledged in meetings that there was improper work done, and yet there's still no conclusion. I don't know how long these reports take. I've not been notified or told that reports are being done, that reports are expected to come back within 6 months, within 3 months. No, a relative timeline, we appreciate it.
I think that has been addressed with you, but
A specific timeline of.
I don't have a
serious events
timeline.
that takes place.
What I can tell you is from talking to the city engineer, once we receive the report, it'll be given out. I don't have a timeline. They don't have a timeline. They haven't been told. I can have them reach out. It's the only thing I can do. So if they have any idea when they're going to give us an answer or whatever, then believe me, I want this over too. And
What's frustrating.
I don't want you to feel that we're not ignoring it. We're waiting too, honestly.
What's frustrating to hear that the city engineer himself confirmed with me that there was improper work done. But I'm hearing tonight for the first time that the city is waiting on a report.
The official
Say that
report
there's
from
improper work
the
done.
people that was out there to look at everything. Okay?
there's a process with everything. We've established that many times here. And the process, the people that work at the city, if the city engineer says that there was something improper done and he's working with the contractors and, the company that did that, our hands are tied until that's addressed with them. And
I understand that, but communicate that. Communicate that, hey, we have requested this, and we expect that this should be back within this certain time frame. And then when that time frame comes, reach back out to the citizen and say, here's what this has revealed, here's where we're at with it, and here's our next step. But it's just, well, we haven't heard nothing, so just wait.
All right,
Just
we
keep waiting.
will
Just
get
keep
that to
waiting.
you.
We'll get back to you. You wanna get
No,
back to
I
us in a
didn't
week,
say
in a
that.
month, in
I
3
just
months?
said I will talk to him and I'll,
Okay,
9 o'clock tonight,
let's move
Chris,
on with
tomorrow,
this.
okay?
Okay, Lily, you want to finish up?
Yeah. About the tax incentive, I think that it's, we've kind of operated this way on council several times with things that we've done. We can't just knee jerk, hey, let's give them this. Let's do it tonight. There's a process. We have to, we have a lot of other businesses within this community. And is it fair that we just say, yeah, let's give it to these guys? Let's not see what, even consult with our finance director about, what this is going to look like for the city. It's a business. The city is a business. We are running this. It's important that we look at these types of things before we go jumping, head first into, let's just do it tonight without any research or any, due diligence or whatever.
You didn't do any research.
So we have to, excuse me?
You didn't do any research.
You have, this is my
Okay,
council comments, not yours.
Point of order there.
So,
Okay.
no due diligence, we're jumping head first, like we do on almost everything we do here. So I think that I'm not opposed to doing whatever we can to incentivize businesses. I think that I'm in favor of trying to work to help them get here because I would love to see them here. I think that they would be a great asset to our city. But I also think that we have to be smart on our end for the things that we do. And so that's why I'd like to see us sit down and figure out the best solution to that and to do something with it. If we lose them in the meantime, that would not be good. And I'm not, hopefully we can figure it out, but we can't operate that way on any level. So that's why I was not in favor of that tonight. Candidates, I'm glad you're here. You get to see what you're getting into here. Fun times. Thank you for showing and appreciate you being here. First Fridays. That's great. I hope everyone comes and attends First Fridays that were started by CCA and with the funding of Mr. Weaver. Thank goodness we have those. Helps our city a lot. That's all. Have a good night.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Let me see. I hate to keep bringing up the old things. I'm going to start off with.
Tiffany.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Reverend Radcliffe, this is the outlet. This is the way you're supposed to do it, and it's a lot more complicated than what it appears to be. It's not just simple. Hey, I've been doing it all this time, and what happens is in code enforcement, because I work there, and that's why I'm sensitive to the issues, is that you put ordinances in place to get the bad guy, let's say, to keep, somebody parks their RV in the front yard with the grass and the mud goes out in the street and so forth. So when you try to address that guy, and then he said, when I see this all over, the only thing that I want our code enforcement to do is treat everybody equally, not targeted code enforcement. So if you have let you go, but this other guy that they don't like, then they're going to go target them and make them move it. So it's just like handbooks, personnel handbooks. You put in for the bad guy, and all the time you'll catch a good guy who really doesn't abuse it, but he gets stuck with that personnel policy you put in place, if that makes sense. As just an analogy of that. But there's a lot of it. Yours probably, and I haven't been there, so yours probably is not an issue. But there are a lot of issues throughout the city. And when you go try to address that issue, you got to treat everybody equally. That's the problem in this. So there's not any right or wrong way. All I will say, we can, take that up at a work session and have code come in there and explain what transpired, how they got to you, and see what we could do where we treat everybody equally. Because if you start allowing on gravel pads and mud, and it becomes a problem. If the ordinance says blacktop or concrete, however that's not what you want to hear, but we got to make sure that we treat everybody equally across the city. And so I will say, ask for a work session as soon as possible, and that would be one item that I would request to be on that work session, Chief.
Mayor, if you don't mind, I'm pretty much collateral damage, I think, because there's an issue in the neighborhood. So I'm collateral damage, I know that. But my concern is for the citizens of Clarksburg, it's not just campers, it's boat trailers, utility trailers, your motor on. If it's on the grass, again, I didn't look at the code specifically, but it affects a lot of different things other than just a camper. I know campers are issues.
Yeah, well, we'll look at, we got to look at the total package of it.
I'm just here for awareness.
Absolutely.
I'm along because I'm going to do that. We'll be a good example.
You made us aware, so we have to then react on what you're telling us, and that's what we'll do. Thank you again for coming, because this is the outlet. They have jobs to do in code enforcement, and I respect the work they do, because they're not popular people when they tell you got to put a pad's going to cost you several $1,000s or whatever. So I'm not defending. I want them to do their job the best ability that they can. Thank you. Chris, I know you've addressed me personally about this situation. I'm the mayor here, and I'm one vote as the rest of these guys. I just want, that's why we hire professional people. That's why we hire city managers. That's why we hire engineers, and that's why they contract it out to professionals like Thrasher Engineering. I can't go over there. I'm not, that's not what I do. I rely on them, and them as the professionals, the city manager and the engineer and Thrashers or whoever the contractor is, to provide us with information. I'm not going to go and go looking, because I can't tell if it's done right or wrong. I know when it first came, it was sidewalks were broke down, the curb lines were all messed up, and all that. They had videos. They're professionals. They took videos, and there were no sidewalks destroyed. There were no curb lines destroyed. These professionals took video of that. So we have that to look at. And so then it's all these other issues. And they said this and they said that. We're relying on our professionals. As soon as we get a report, and I want that be noted, as soon as we get a report, we'll make that available to all the residents and to the city council. Until then, I can't give you any answers that you want. The tax incentive, I will, again, I don't know how we make those without relying on professional input. We got a finance director that's got to keep this city running. I'm not keeping it running. I don't know about how much it's going to cost, what it could cost. I like to be provided with the information before I jump to a decision. Let's just go ahead and do this and that. We need to have that information. Oh, we're moving too slow and we're doing it. We're a business, and you got to act like a business, and you got to get all the pertinent data before you make a decision on something like that. I don't want to do that. And then our finance director says, "Well, this is really going to cause us a problem down the road." Let's have a work session. We'll try and do it. And that's another thing. I want a work session for the tax incentive. Let's go over that next week as soon as we can get a meeting. But I want to rely on our city attorney, our finance director, to give us some data on what we're looking at. That's all I want. And we'll do it as soon as we can. We got it on the agenda. They went and did the best job that they thought. The best tax break throughout the state is what they came up with. If it's not good enough, well, we'll go and we'll have to tweak it, and we'll see. I don't want to be the one. I'm not the expert in here. I don't want to be the one saying, let's give them 100% for 50 years. That's what they need to present us with. So that's where we're at on that. What else we got? The city manager, as I read, has been a very important position. And a lot of people's made a lot of comments about it and so forth. But I personally didn't want to just settle for just anyone. It was a long, lengthy process. And I want to commend this council for working together and finally coming up what we feel is the best solution for our city. And to me, it's exciting. As Jerry had said, working without a city manager has been tough. We've had qualified people in here, but they're just guiding the ship for us. We need somebody that's what they do. And this person does that and has been successful at it and brings in some new ideas and some fresh ideas. And we'll be able to bring this council together, to work together for the citizens. And that's all I want it for, is for the citizens. I don't want it for any other reason. This person hopefully will come in and do a great job for us. That's what we all sitting on this council hope for. And as I don't know if it was Wayne said, if not, we have other ways to take care of that. But I'm confident that we waited enough time. We did our due diligence. We worked hard to get to this point. And to me, to be able to announce this tonight is very exciting for this city. And we're looking for, I don't know if we had said that, but we're looking for a middle of June start date, which will give time to get up here and bring her family here and be part of Clarksburg. And I know, I think she will enjoy the city and working with the citizens. Other than that, I want to say thank you for coming. The first Friday's coming up. Go attend, but we'll definitely get work sessions this next week to address these concerns that were given to us tonight.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second? All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? We're adjourned. Bring it over here.